All right, today we're jumping into a problem that is honestly keeping a lot of people up at night in enterprise AI, even if they don't know it yet. It's this growing gap between what an AI can do and what it's actually supposed to do. It's creating this massive silent risk inside so many companies. So let's dig in and figure out why this is happening, and more importantly, how we can actually fix it.
So let me ask you a question, and I want you to really think about this for a second. Let's say one of your AI agents just executed a huge financial trade or maybe made a critical decision in your supply chain. Could you, right at this very moment, answer with 100% certainty, was it authorized to do that? You know, the hard truth is, most organizations just can't. They can't answer that question with a simple yes. And that inability, that gap between action and provable authorization, that's what we call the authority gap. And this isn't some far-off hypothetical problem. It's a vulnerability that's live and active in systems right now.
Okay, so how does this gap actually cause problems in the real world? Well, it's not just one thing. It turns out there are 4 really common ways that this authority just completely breaks down, and chances are they're happening all over the place.
First up, delegation is often just implied. It's not clearly spelled out. So an AI system might figure, hey, this user has this role and they approved something similar before, so I must have permission to take this action right now. But it was never explicitly given that permission for this specific action under these specific conditions. It's basically making an educated guess, and that's a huge risk.
The second one is a big one. The world changes, right? But the AI's permissions, they don't. The system gets the green light to do something in one specific context, say when the market is stable. But what happens when the market suddenly goes haywire? The AI just keeps on acting based on those old, now totally outdated permissions. The context shifted, but the authority didn't. Number 3, this one is a real headache, multi-agent chains. Picture this. One AI calls another AI, which then calls a third AI to get a piece of data. Suddenly, who's actually responsible for the final action? The chain of command just dissolves into thin air, and so does any sense of real ownership or accountability. It's a total mess.
And finally, the one we see most often. We end up relying on audits instead of preventing the problem in the first place. It's like driving while only looking in the rearview mirror. We find out about an unauthorized action by digging through logs long after the damage is already done. We're always playing catch-up, chasing the past instead of controlling the present.
And this really gets to the core of it, right? There's a great quote that sums this up perfectly. All those things we rely on, our governance frameworks, our access controls, our audit logs, they create the feeling of control, not actual control. It's an illusion of safety when it really counts. So you might be thinking, okay, we just need a better tech tool, a stronger enforcement engine. But the central argument here is that we're all looking in the wrong place. This isn't really a runtime technology problem. It's something much, much deeper.
And here's the key distinction we have to make. We see these runtime failures, the AI doing something wrong, and we think that's the problem. But it's not. It's just the symptom. The real root cause is a failure way upstream in the process architecture itself. We're trying to patch a leaky pipe downstream when the blueprint for the plumbing was flawed from the very beginning.
I mean, think about it like this. A security guard can only enforce the rules they've been given. If you never actually wrote down the rules for who's allowed in the building and when, what is the guard supposed to do? It's the same for our AI governance tools. They need a clear set of rules to check against. But if we never architecturally define who has authority and under what conditions before we even deployed the AI, the tool has nothing meaningful to enforce. It's checking compliance against a rulebook that was never written.
So, if the problem is architectural, then the solution has to be architectural too. And that's where this framework called Integrated Process Excellence, or IPE, comes into the picture. It's a really structured way of thinking that's designed to solve this exact problem right at the source.
IPE is basically a 6-step methodology. The whole point is to embed authority deep into the DNA of a system before it ever sees the light of day. Let's just quickly touch on a couple of the most important steps here.
Okay, so take step 2, for example. This is where the magic really begins to happen. It's at this stage that you explicitly, and I mean really explicitly, define who has authority and under what exact conditions. It's not guessed at, it's not inferred, it's literally built into the architecture of the process from the get-go.
Then you jump to step 5, and this is how the system actually adapts. It uses something called key input variables, or KIVs.
You can think of these as digital sensors always watching the environment, and when one of these sensors detects a critical change, like that market shift we talked about earlier, it automatically triggers a revalidation of the AI's authority. This is how the system stays current and adapts in real time.
Now, what this whole architectural approach lets us do is make a really critical shift. We move away from just discovering mistakes after they happen, and we move towards preventing them from ever happening at all.
The tool that makes this possible is called Success Mode and Effects Analysis, or SMEA. Now, most risk analysis just focuses on what could go wrong, right? SMEA is different. It proactively defines what right looks like. It literally creates a clear, authorized success envelope that tells the AI, this is your safe space to operate. Stay within these lines.
And the real power of SMEA is that it takes that fuzzy gray zone, where an AI's action might seem reasonable but wasn't explicitly authorized, and it turns it into a hard, black and white defensible boundary. If a planned action falls outside that envelope, boom, it gets flagged before it can ever happen.
So when you put all of these pieces together, you've got the defined process, you've got the real-time validation, you have that proactive success envelope. What you end up with is something way more powerful than just the feeling of control. You get control that you can actually prove.
And this is where it all clicks into place. Look at how each of those 4 failures we started with is directly addressed by a specific part of the IPE architecture. That implied delegation? Gone. It's solved by explicit declaration in step 2. Those dangerous context shifts? Handled automatically by KIV revalidation in step 5. The messy, obscure ownership in multi-agent chains? That gets clarified with documented transitions in step 3. And our dangerous reliance on looking backwards through audits? That gets replaced with SMEA's proactive, preventative approach. It is a complete end-to-end system.
And listen, this isn't just some academic theory. In really high-stakes industries, we're talking financial services, healthcare, national infrastructure, places where a single unauthorized AI action could be absolutely catastrophic. This kind of provable control isn't just a nice-to-have, it's an absolute necessity for survival.
At the end of the day, it all boils down to this one incredibly powerful idea. Control is what you can prove. If you can't prove it, you don't really have it.
And that right there is the entire value proposition of a framework like integrated process excellence. It makes control a structural part of your system, something that's baked in from the very beginning, not just some governance layer you try to slap on at the end and hope for the best.
So we're going to end right back where we started, with a question I want you to take back to your own organization. It's not about whether you feel like you're in control or if you have a great audit log. The only question that really matters is this. Right now, today, can you prove it?